I'd like to welcome you to our City Council meeting this December the 9th, 2021. In the interest of time efficiency and ensuring that everyone who wishes to address the council is given the opportunity to do so, the following will apply to all comments made by the public. If you desire to be recognized by the chair, please fill out a request form and present it to the city clerk present here in council chambers. Each speaker shall be allotted 3 minutes to address the council unless such time is extended by the mayor or by questions from council. Groups shall designate a spokesperson to avoid the repetition of comments. Every effort will be made to avoid interrupting speakers. Thank you for participating in your city government. Please silence all electronic devices. And with that, we will call this council meeting to order. Could we all rise for the invocation by Pastor David Nye from Christ Our Savior Fellowship? And if you will, remain standing after that for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. The Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. He makes the plans of the people of no effect. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he has chosen as his own inheritance. The Lord looks from heaven. He sees all the sons of men. From the place of his dwelling, he looks on all the inhabitants of the earth. He fashions their hearts individually. He considers all their works. Lord, we pray that you will look favorably upon the work of this council this evening. We ask that you give them wisdom, direction, and guidance. And we ask this in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Blackwell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Trace?
Here.
Councilmember Matheny?
Here.
Councilmember Urban?
Here.
Councilmember Askew?
Here.
Mr. Sturgeon, do you have any agenda items to update?
Mayor, the only item on the consent agenda, I'd like to pull item L. That is under the city manager's authority, and I'll take care of that. Thank you.
Would you tell me what that item is again?
Item L, Lima.
Gotcha. At this time, we have a presentation in recognition of our police chief, Mr. Gauntlet, and his retirement by our city manager. And I'd like to invite all of our city council, if they will, just step down with him.
Good evening. Chief Pete Gauntlet came to serve as the St. Cloud Police Chief in March of 2010, after serving with the Orlando Police Department since 1981. He has served with great distinction and honor throughout his nearly 40 years in law enforcement. During his 28 years with the Orlando Police Department, he served in numerous operational and investigative assignments, including SWAT Commander, Orlando International Airport Commander, Staff Director, High Risk Incident Commander, Chief of Detectives, and Chief of Patrol Operations. He has numerous degrees in criminal justice and is a graduate of the prestigious FBI National Academy. After retiring from Orlando Police Department, Chief Gauntlet did not slow down. When he took the chief's job here in 2010, he went straight to work implementing new policies, procedures, and programs that would help our police department not only meet but also exceed expectations in our community. Serving as the city's public safety director, he brought his wealth of experience and expertise and led our police department into a new era of professionalism. I'm sure everyone in the room could recount a way that Chief Gauntlet has had a meaningful impact on their lives during his time in St. Cloud. He's been a champion for the police department, for hiring military veterans to serve as law enforcement positions, and for the safety of our community. He has worked tirelessly to help make sure our police department has the tools and personnel it needs to meet the needs of our citizens. He led the department through some dark times of law enforcement over the last several years, when many police departments across the country were facing retaliation for the very communities they were sworn to serve and protect. One of the things I know Chief Gauntlet is most proud of is the Real-Time Crime Center, which gives our Intel Unit officers real-time intelligence on what's going on in the city. The Intel Unit uses a system of cameras citywide to help solve crimes and apprehend suspects. The Crime Center also allows our officers to view FDOT cameras in our area. Law enforcement officials from all over the state and even the nation have visited St. Cloud to see what Chief Gauntlet established here and to talk to him about how they can duplicate this in their own communities. We are proud to have been served by a chief who is such a visionary and strong leader. Pete, the city owes you a debt of gratitude for your years of service. The department is better now, which is the Athenian code for cities, is leave it better than you found it. When you got here, and you leave it well positioned to continue to grow and meet the needs of our growing community. We thank you for all of your service and sacrifice, and we wish you the very best in your retirement, and I will miss you, sir.
Thank you. Please, thank you. Several months ago, I came before the council to announce that it was my intention to retire. It's been a great journey, some 41 years overall. My wife, Margaret, and I have some grand plans for the future, and we certainly look forward to the next chapter in our lives. But I can tell you that in all my 41 years, that we saved the best for last, because my involvement with St. Cloud PD has been remarkable, absolutely remarkable. As we move forward, I have so much to be thankful for, because over these last years, one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that the city of St. Cloud, out of 411 cities, villages, and towns in this state, ranks consistently in the top 20 safest communities in our state. And our crime rate has almost 40% lower today than it was 12 years ago. And it's the effort and the hard work of the men and women of the St. Cloud Police Department that sometimes goes unnoticed, but is tirelessly an example of their commitment to the community. Going forward today is an example. We were able to accomplish something that only 30% of the agencies in the state of Florida are able to. We went through a re-accreditation of our accreditation process, in which 3 inspectors came to our agency and looked at 420 standards from top to bottom. Every aspect of every policy, every compliance, every assurance, everything ethically you can imagine that we're accountable to do. I can tell you today that we were fully reaccredited for another 3 years as an agency, and it's a tribute to the staff and the work that they have done tirelessly to the agency. And with that, the council, one of the things I've asked the city manager is individually, I'm going to make appointments to see each one of you to share some insight, some suggestions, and certainly some requests going forward for as far as the agency goes. We have some great candidates that have come forward that want to step in and take the role. It's a big role and a progressive one, but an agency that's ready for the future and certainly committed for the long term for the agency. So for all the years and all the thank yous, I really appreciate it. On behalf of Margaret and I, thank you for the support and all the wonderful people here. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, sir. She's a rose between a lot of thorns. A lot of thorns.
I've been wanting to ask this for a long time. Krispy Kreme or Dunkin'?
You guys ready?
Yes, Margaret needs to come
Come
up
on,
here.
Margaret.
Margaret. She makes me look good. reflect tonight to the community, and it's something we have not done before, but it was very apparent that it needs to be recognized. In 1983, a Volusia County deputy was ambushed and murdered in the backyard of a home responding to a tactical situation. As a result, there was a lot of public outcry to law enforcement that they weren't supplying, the agencies weren't prepared to deal with situations that were more tactical in nature and needed to do a lot of retraining and focus. I had the opportunity as a young SWAT officer for the city of Orlando to participate in the actual debriefing with Volusia County back in 1983. This was early in 1983. As a result, there was a design and a focus that needed to happen to bring law enforcement into a more modern age at the time and to teach police departments. If you remember, in those days, SWAT teams were very limited and nobody knew much about them. They have their role in law enforcement. It's a critical role, but oftentimes one of great concern for the community when you have to roll out your very best to deal with a very tragic situation. So what involved was not only a debriefing, but a need to train and to check out comparatively what was happening around us with other law enforcement agencies. So the International SWAT competition was developed. The very first competition actually started down here in the city of Kissimmee at the old Kissimmee Police Range. I'll age myself some 38 years ago because I competed on the first 3 teams. Some 38 years later, the St. Cloud Police Department has done something that no other agency has done. These agencies that come in, they come in from around the world, Dubai, from the Middle East, from Europe, from as far away as LAPD, from all over the United States and throughout Florida. Generally speaking, there's 50 to 100 agencies that participate. It's a grueling competition over multiple days as well as some advanced training and tactics. One of the things that happens is during this competition, it's efficiency, shooting, judgment, fitness, a whole host of things. And in that competition, it is straight up team against team. It is a very rigorous process that goes on. Your SWAT team here in the city of St. Cloud has done something that no small agency's ever done. We've gone toe-to-toe with agencies 10 times our size, and we've beaten most of them. And as a result, we're going to identify and recognize those members of the team today because for 2 years in a row, we were honored with the #1 top spot as far as small agencies go and finished in a remarkable pace. So I'm going to bring these forward and identify the SWAT officers. Lieutenant Curtis Wessler, who is our SWAT commander. Sergeant Glenn Gilbert. Detective Patrick Mannix. Officer James Algood. Sergeant Joshua Esch. Detective Kevin Burkhart. Officer Benjamin McCormick. Justin Ziegler. So just a note, you can see that they were honored by the National Tactical Officers Association and the Florida Association of SWAT Teams. So this will be mounted permanently in the agency with a special emphasis on the great work they've done. My only regret, I got bullets older than all of them. That's kind of sad. But you guys set the mark that no other agency of our size has ever done before by winning this 2 years in a row and reaching the highest level of accomplishment of any agency our size. So my hat's off to them and a great, great job they've done.
Look up down my smile. Thank you.
She'll come after you.
That's the bad boys of the St. Cloud Police Department, huh?
They run fast, they climb well, and they shoot really good. That's
Well, there certainly aren't enough words to express our appreciation for this department, but certainly for Chief Gauntlet, who has certainly been an unbelievably exceptional leader for our city, and I'm sure much of that is due to his beautiful wife, Margaret, who's sitting there beside him. At this time, we'd like to recognize State Representative Fred Hawkins for a presentation. It's good to have you here, Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you. It's good to be home. Let me
Yes.
just say that. Tallahassee is much colder, but we do enjoy serving up there. I'd be remiss if I didn't start by giving my personal thanks to you, Chief. We know our job is always public safety first, but you lived that for many years. I want to thank you for your dedication to the city, your support in times you and I have talked, and most of all for your friendship, so thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, City Attorney, and staff. It's an honor to be here in front of you tonight. I wanted to give you an update a little bit of what took place in session last time. I know we have our delegation meetings and we talk about the wants and needs of the community, and we're addressing that, but there's some things we did that I think affect all of us Floridians, and especially here in St. Cloud, some of them directly. So I'd like to start off by saying I think we live in the greatest state in the United States with the greatest leadership in our governor, Governor Ron DeSantis. It's an honor to serve with him in the House leadership and represent you and the citizens of the city of St. Cloud. Last session, we seized bold opportunities, anticipated tomorrow's risks, and transformed the lives of Floridians and future generations. We passed legislation that protected Florida's institutions and industries from foreign espionage and intellectual property theft. This keeps Florida competitive on the national stage. We had many dysfunctional and fragmented workforce programs that were shattered and not providing the opportunities they were meant to do. The REACH Act reborn these programs to help students, job seekers, and workers to be able to secure the jobs that will be needed tomorrow and in the future, and of course with a much higher wage. One thing I'm very proud of is we passed the Portraits and Patriotism Act because we wanted the next generation of Floridians to truly understand what it means to live in a free society. If I haven't talked to you, I am in the education silo in the Florida House. I've been told, on more education committees than any other House member. But that said, I'm very proud of being the co-sponsor for the New World Reading Initiative. And to quote our speaker, if a child can read, they can learn. This program is the first statewide free book delivery program to struggling children in kindergarten through 5th grade. I was honored to be selected by Speaker Sprouse to represent the Florida House on the Closing the Achievement Gap Task Force. Our report is finished and will be used to make recommendations to close the educational achievement gap between males and females. In some areas, this gap is almost 70%, so we need to take care of that. Also in education, we passed the most comprehensive Parent Bill of Rights legislation in the nation. I believe parents should be in control of their students' education and all the decisions that go along with it. Impacts of flooding and sea level rise affect every corner of the state. You may be asking, why would I bring this up here tonight in St. Cloud when we're so interior to our coastlines? But the resiliency plan we passed is the most aggressive ever. Not only does this place funding in the form of infrastructure to combat flooding issues and to address insurance issues as well. No longer should interior residents be paying higher insurance costs to make up for those that live in the coastal areas and areas that are prone to flooding. Wrapping up some of the major highlights of action taken in the last session, I was happy to support and testify during the discussion of the Right to Farm Act. This act protects our agricultural community against frivolous lawsuits, strengthens the best land management practices, and of course reinsures ag tourism. I built on the positive job my predecessor, Representative Mike LaRosa, had done for you. While he ran the same appropriations request for the seaplane base that you had requested in the past, it was successfully approved by this session and by the Florida House Appropriations, and of course signed by Governor DeSantis as part of the budget. Our House team was also successful in getting funding for the Puerto Rican legal aid services, and we also obtained funding for Grace Landing related to those that are aging out of foster care. Both of these appropriations we are running again this year. We fought hard and to keep millions of dollars in compression funding for the Osceola School District, and we were successful. My personal bill that I was very proud of, I passed a CPR bill that has been called by ABC News probably the most life-saving legislation to ever pass the Florida House in legislative history. This places CPR education back in our high schools. We passed legislation related to Cambridge education format and passed through committees but didn't get it all the way through the House, elementary computer science education bill, which we are running again this year. Looking ahead, we have worked hard with your staff, and we're asked to submit some appropriations, most notably for Chisholm Park renovations and improvements. And additionally, we submitted appropriations in combination with the city and county to help construct an access dock at Lake Runnymede so they can get in and clean that up. And we're asking for appropriations to do that work as well. The environment and lake quality will always be a priority of mine, the Florida House, and of course, Governor DeSantis. I would like in the next session to work with MetroPlan to go after matching funds for the widening of Canoe Creek Road from 192 to Deer Run. As you're aware, when I was a commissioner, I argued and successfully got the county commission to put a light up at that dangerous intersection at Deer Run. And while that was quickly done, I think more needs to be done for that road. We'd like to see that widened and working with all of you. I'd also like to seek funding improvements for the eastern portion of 10th Street, adding turn lanes and sidewalks. Again, with working with you and the county, let's get this and make sure it's in MetroPlan's 5-year plan, and we can do this with matching dollars. So I'm asking for the council's help with that. Looking forward to next session, we will continue to focus on education, healthcare, infrastructure, keeping Florida open and the economy thriving, protect agriculture, the environment, and always looking out for our frontline and essential workers. I have bills and appropriations now going through the process in just about all these areas. Today, it's ironic that I'm in front of you because the governor released his budget. It's called the Freedom First budget. It's about $97.6 billion, a little less than what we passed last year. But it includes some of the highlights, a $1 billion gas tax cut, which is about 25 cents on the gallon for all of us. He asked for $650 million in increase to teacher salaries and incentives. We have no increase in college tuition. And by the way, Florida is #1 in colleges, and we have the lowest tuition ranked by Forbes magazine. Councilman Urban, I'm sorry to say the Gators are #5. We will have a friendly bet because Gator here and UCF. So, no cuts, which I'm very glad to hear, to Bright Future scholarships. Increase to Florida's Rural Lands Program, which our ag community's been asking for years. $1,000 bonuses to all of our first responders. Manatee protection, a raise for all the state employees, and a significant raise for our corrections officers, and expansion of the sales tax holidays, and much, much more. And I can tell you, everything I mentioned, I will be supporting. I stand for it, and I think it is a great budget, and I look forward to passing it. At this time, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions? Well, I certainly want to thank you for your leadership and what you've done to help make a difference in our own city and county here, and we look forward to you continuing to make a difference in our state as well as in our county through your leadership. Thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you for your service, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say Andrew's my legislative aide, came in town to be here tonight. Kayla handles our Polk County. She made it. She made it all the way from Polk, the south end of Polk County. And you guys know Rocky is now handling our office right here in St. Cloud. Awesome. So I couldn't do what I do without, I think, the best team in the Florida House behind me, and these guys are the best. So I thank you for your service. I thank your staff, and I wish you, the citizens of St. Cloud, a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and we're available to help you in anything we can.
So if we really want to get something done, we don't call you, we call your team, right?
My team is available, I will tell you.
All right.
We go back to session January 11th through March 11th, and we'll be up there. Love to see you all up there.
All right.
Awesome. Take care. God bless you all.
Take care. Mr. Hawkins. At this time, we have a presentation by the Orlando's Utilities Commission. I believe Mindy, it's good to have you here. You'll step up and share your name and
Sure. Maybe right-size it for my size.
there you go.
Even with heels. My name is Mindy Brene. I am the Chief Financial Officer at Orlando Utilities Commission. We provide electric services to the city of St. Cloud. So I wanted to share with you, hopefully I'm not,
You're good, we can hear you.
can you hear me fine?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, go.
Okay. I wanted to share with you the pricing workshop that we provided to our commissioners. They will be voting on this in the December meeting. So it's pretty hot off the presses. Thank you. One more slide. Okay. Oh, no. Yes, perfect. Thank you. So as a regulated utility, we are regulated by our board, which is a little different than the investor owns, which are regulated by the Public Service Commission. Wanted to share with you our pricing principles and how we deliver value, the key fundamental stakes that we abide by and really use as our guiding principles. Price stability and predictability is very fundamental to rate setting. We really look to deliver value by keeping our prices stable for the long term. The price changes that are coming before the board next week are really fuel-based, and fuel is a full-on pass-through to our customers. There is no return on that. It is directly a pass-through. And for those of you who have seen the gas pumps, you can get an early indication that these prices are rising. So we typically just use those, the fuel cost, just to really balance pricing. During COVID, we took an additional step and really looked to provide a one-time price increase to help our customers. And we provided customers with about a $6.8 million refund of a one-time price decrease. It really helped during that time in the April-May timeframe. On fairness and equity, that is also a core principle to our pricing to ensure that the price that we assign and charge our customers is equitable through the two major customer classes, which are commercial and residential. The St. Cloud service territory is 90% residential, a little bit different than the Orlando service territory, and also more single-family homes than the Orlando service territory. And then most importantly, in this age of transformation and forward-looking, we've been doing this for quite a while, since the 2005 Energy Act, but really focusing on energy conservation, another principle that we set for looking at our price changes and our pricing. Yeah, next slide, please. So in front of here is a slide that we presented in December of 2020 to our board when they adopted the Clean Energy Plan, also called the Electric Integrated Resource Plan. On the left side in green, we really highlighted that there are transformational changes that are really business as usual changes, and they rise from storm hardening, really increasing resiliency, reliability, protecting our assets and infrastructure from cybersecurity, and a lot of dynamic changes in all of the industries, particularly some unique to energy industries. On the right side, we looked at what we call the optimized portfolio and how we could achieve our clean energy net zero emissions target by 2050, and looking at a pricing roadmap of what it would take to deliver that. So we really set out a target to really keep those pricing changes, and that's the small orange bars you see on the top, to less than 1%. We continue to work on, can we deliver this for less? But this is the roadmap, and like any roadmap, it's going to be wrong. But we will always do our best to try to deliver value to our customers. But this is our North Star to get to net zero emissions by 2050, with interim goals at 2030 of a 50% reduction, 75% reduction by 2040, and then achieving that 2050 ultimate target. Next slide, please. So with that, fuel prices have increased. You see it at the pump. We experience it on natural gas. There is a variety of items that are impacting pricing on the fuel commodities. They range from supply and demand, COVID-related impacts. Let me think about this. The winter event, the event called the Winter Storm Uri in Texas, that also created some additional pricing pressure. Like we experienced as consumers on toilet paper, we're experiencing some of that constraint on supply in natural gas. When you think forward on all of the previous information on clean energy and that transition, if you are a gas provider, they're really being stretched to see how they can make their investment, their long-term investment, provide return to their shareholders. So there are supply constraints, there are pressure in the more traditional fossil fuel of coal, as those assets become diminished and the technology to leapfrog into renewables along with energy storage really make that transition. We're kind of sandwiched in this time where we are experiencing some constraints. So that is really the driver for the price increase that is coming forward to our board next week. It is about a 2.3% price increase on fuel. We do know that our peers are seeing much higher price increases. We have a diversified portfolio. We are leveraging our coal assets at Stanton Energy Center. But we do know that if the price pressure continues, that we might be back in the June board meeting for additional price increases. So we are not recommending anything beyond the price changes that are coming forward in January with an effective, well, they're coming forward next week for board approval. They are effective January 1, but we like to give a line of sight and recognition that, the continued price pressure. Natural gas was $3 an MMBTU for a very long time, which is million units of British thermal. It's just a technical term I'm not good at. But they were $3. They're now $6, right? So in a short period of time, in the last 3 to 4 months, we have seen really steep price increases. We use fuel reserves to help us insulate the customers from these price increases. We've tapped those, and really, since 2009, we have not raised fuel prices. We have actually decreased them to keep prices stable for our customers. Next slide, please. So coming closer to home to the St. Cloud service territory, I shared with you that our peers, the investor owns, Duke, Florida Power and Light, all are experiencing price increases regularly in the newspaper. We wanted to share with you price comparison to your neighboring utility, KUA. Your average usage here as single-family homeowners is about 1,200 kilowatts per month. We do the peer comparison on 1,000, which is more reflective to the OUC community, more multifamily homes and smaller home units. But here you can see that the price comparison for St. Cloud is very favorable to KUA. Our pricing structure is different. I will share with you that our pricing structure is different than KUA. They do adjust their prices monthly for fuel changes. We take a long view. We may end up at the same place in the long run, but we look at it a little bit differently to deliver on the core principles of price stability. So with that, I will happily answer any questions that you have for me.
Are there any questions from council? Councilmember Trace.
You had mentioned the IOUs are continually going up. Do you have any breakdown or baseline for how we compare to the IOUs?
Oh, yes, you are. With the IOUs and the price changes that we see coming into play by February, you are well below what we call the peer average. So Florida Power and Light is about again, it's based on 1,000 kilowatts, not the 1,200. So the 1,000's going up to 114. Theirs will be about 123. So significantly lower than the single, but still lower than what we define as our peer average.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I don't think anybody likes to see increases, but we've certainly have been appreciative of the fact that OUC has had such steady level prices for so long. But now with what's happening to the cost of fuel to generate electricity, it's certainly going to be a challenge. But we certainly appreciate the conservative approach that OUC has taken.
Thank you. And we always encourage conservation, energy efficiency. There are programs. We regularly put bill inserts in. We're available. Our customer service team is always available to come out to do energy audits. We encourage that. It's part of our clean energy plan to both complement what we're doing on the supply side with what the consumers and the customers can do on the demand side. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bonet.
Again, happy holidays to
Same to you.
everyone. Thank you for having me.
This time we have a presentation by Central Florida Expressway Authority. I believe Will Hawthorne.
Good evening. How's everyone doing this evening? All right. I guess I'm driving for you tonight. So, again, my name is Will Hawthorne. I serve as the Director of Engineering at the Central Florida Expressway Authority, locally known as CFX. We span 5 counties: Brevard, Lake, Orange, Osceola, and Seminole. I'm here tonight to basically solicit input so that we can wrap up our 2045 master plan. We need ideas, we need your thoughts and input on what you think the transportation solutions are moving into the future. We were in 2014, 2 major changes happened. Our jurisdiction was extended outside of Orange County. Prior to that, we were constrained to Orange County only. And then we also were allowed to study multimodal opportunities, which I'll touch on a little bit later in the presentation. We have a 10-member board. Actually, Representative Fred Hawkins was our former member and former chairman as a representative from Osceola County. But we have the Orlando mayor, Orange County mayor, representatives from each of our counties in our jurisdiction. And then we have 3 gubernatorial appointees, all seen here. Our system, like I said, is primarily in Orange County. It's 125 miles of limited access expressway. We do have some of the newest additions are the 538, which is Point Santa Parkway at the very bottom of the slide, and then Wekiva Parkway at the top. It's no secret the growth and the amount of people moving here that is greatly increased with the pandemic. And the Orlando Economic Partnership still estimates we're getting around 1,500 new residents each week to the greater Central Florida area. So the time is now to start planning and getting things into our master plan for what we think the answers are or should be in 2045. So our master plan is the long-range transportation plan for our agency. It's not a financially feasible plan. It's a transportation wish list, if you will. So it's really the first step. You got to get the ideas in there, and then we can take it a little bit further. And we do that by 2 other components in our planning. One of them is the fully funded 5-year work plan. This is, again, it's financially feasible. It is updated every year, and it's a 5-year outlook on the projects we'll be undertaking. And then we also do a 15-year capital improvement program to make sure that if we start anything in those later years, 4th or 5th year, that we can see it through to its completion. So the last time we did this, it was 2015 timeframe. We went as far west as the city of Mascot, as far east as Port Canaveral and Space Coast TPO. We've gone all over the place. I've been to numerous meetings. I was in the city of Kissimmee a couple months ago. So we're trying to, it's a big listening tour. We really need your input. There'll be a survey link at the end to get that input. So make sure you share that with your staff, friends, colleagues, and family. want to take a minute to highlight a few things that we were able to accomplish in the last master plan. In that plan, we identified $11 billion in needs in just 4 counties. Brevard was not added to our system until 2017. Out of the $11 billion, we will have invested over $2.5 billion into our 5-county area by 2025. On the east side of Orlando, if you've ever driven towards UCF, you've driven through the interchange of 408 and 417. That's what we're looking at there. That interchange was opened in the late 80s. It served the community very well for a number of years, and with the enormous growth, university growing, it was in need of operational improvements and safety improvements, and that's the finished product you're looking at there, which is functioning very well. Another interchange I'm sure you're all familiar with is if you leave the Orlando International Airport and head to the north. This is a picture of 528 and 436, or Cimarron Boulevard. This was taken in February of this year. We will be done by summer of next year, and the interchange looks nothing like this now. There's 7 new bridges. We've been able to expedite that construction by about 8 months because of lower traffic heading into the airport. So we really were able to take some advantages and reduce the impact on the traveling customer. Brightline, everyone's heard of it. It's well underway. If you've been on 528 or the Beach Line heading out to Port Canaveral, that corridor is taking shape on the south side of 528. They're actually starting to lay track. We partnered with them as part of our multimodal ability to be co-located in our right-of-way. So that's a first of its kind for our agency, and we're very eager to see it open up. Some other major initiatives, we added 16 centerline miles to our system. Part of that is the Point Santa Parkway at the bottom of the slide, or otherwise known as 538. The other component is Wekiva Parkway, and straddling Orange County and parts of Lake County. We're adding capacity to our system. About 55 miles of our system is going to be increasing capacity. A number of these are in construction. I actually made a presentation to our board this morning to award the seventh of 8 projects. So those are moving along nicely. We had a number of concept, feasibility, and mobility studies. And I'll take a pause there real quick. So before you do any new corridor, new road, there's a very linear process you got to take. You do a concept study to see what corridors are possible and feasible. Then you go to a PD&E, or a project development and environment phase, and that focuses in on one corridor. And then after you figure out that corridor, you design it and build it. So this is the very first step. This map represents a conglomeration of all of the study areas that we've completed. All of these are done. The next step is to do a PD&E, or project and development and study. A number of these are closed. The one that I think would be of interest to your council is the Southport Connector, which is the very bottom on the south side of East Lake Toho. That is exploring a connection from where Point Santa Parkway ends today near Solavita, and it would connect out to the Turnpike. So we're well into that study and looking to wrap that up in mid-summer of next year. This map represents all the areas that we have fully funded for design, and then the 2 areas on the left side of the slide, the one connecting to Lake County, and then Point Santa Parkway, you can see a little hatched area that goes up to 532. Those are fully funded for construction. So those are in design. We're looking to move those into construction sometime late next year, early 2023. So again, we're here to solicit input. It's for everyone in the audience, for you, the council. We appreciate the time to be here. And the survey is on our website at cfxway.com/master-plan. We really need this input because our staff's only 80 people, and we can only go so far. But that's why we're trying to get out into the community, get your input, and to have a well thought out 2045 master plan. With that, it concludes my presentation. I really appreciate the time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions? Councilmember Trace.
Thank you. Could you go back to one of the maps, Mr. Arkin? Perfect. So we're, a bunch of your guys' toll facilities all kind of come to one spot over by Celebration on the west side of Osceola County. And, I mean, currently, with the amount of traffic that's there, from about 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., that stretch of I-4 between 429 and 417 is just an absolute mess, almost in both directions, all day, every day. With now adding more traffic and more capacity leading to that area, are there any plans to fix the gap in between?
So I think you're talking about the area on it's primarily I-4 that you're talking about.
It's essentially from Osceola Polk Line Road to 417 is just kind of that mess. And I know
Yeah.
it's I-4 is a federal highway, but we're just keep on kind of cramming cars towards it on the toll roads.
So again, it's a DOT facility. It's not within our jurisdiction. I have been in contact with their leadership, and they do actually have a project to add aux lanes in that area as a reliever. It's not a permanent fix, I'll be honest, but it is something to get us by until they can get the Beyond the Ultimate through there. So DOT, Turnpike, they are working on it, and they did assure me that construction will be starting, I think, early next spring to add some reliever lanes on I-4 in those interchange areas.
And is that essentially just taking the shoulder and kind of paving it for a traffic condition, or?
Auxiliary lanes will connect ramp to ramp. So you come on, instead of having to merge into a travel lane, you've got the short dash lines that you'll have auxiliary lanes to connect an on-ramp to an exit ramp. So it's a little bit more capacity. Again, it's not a ultimate fix by any means, but they are working on it, and Turnpike's working on it. There's a lot going on in that area, as you're very aware. That it's just a lot of work needs to be done, and it takes a little bit of time, unfortunately, but we're working as diligently as we can to get it fixed.
Okay, thank you. And estimated ballpark timeline within a decade for the Polk Parkway to come through to the Southport connector all the way to the Turnpike. Do you just have a ballpark
So let me
timeline?
back up. You're talking about the purple
Yeah.
area down to the Turnpike?
Mhm.
So we have to, we're in a PD&E, so we have to make sure it's feasible. The facility has to be able to pay for itself, because we don't get tax funding. We're all sufficient off the tolls that the system makes. Assuming it's feasible, and the board, our board wants to fund it for design, I mean, we're talking, that's a pretty long facility, several years. I mean, 7, 8 years before anything's coming out of the ground. So I will bring up that the Turnpike, if you look, there's a little gap from where Point Santa Parkway will come up to 532. There's a gap between there and I-4. Everyone points that out. We are going to partner with Turnpike and DOT. Being their facility, we figured it best that they took the lead to do that connection. So the goal is to get a connection between Turnpike and I-4 to add some more connectivity throughout the region. So Southport connector, we're working through that one. It's a pretty tight corridor through the Cypress Parkway area. So it's a challenge.
Yeah. Well, I just remember driving 417 20, 25 years ago and just
Nothing's
thinking
out
like
there.
nothing was out there.
Yeah.
This is a road to nowhere. And then now
I did the same thing. When I was at UCF, I driving out there before I worked at the expressway, and I'm going, "What in the world is this road for?" And now you're driving it. It's unbelievable, the growth.
Yeah, because that to me was the infrastructure before the development, and we're getting to the point where that's all going to be developed, and we won't have the road there to give any reliever, just the Turnpike. So
Correct. We're working quite a bit with Osceola County. There's some pretty grand plans for that area, and I guess you call it Central Osceola. So we're trying to get in now and see if they can set aside corridors. We can't set aside corridors, but they have that power to do that. So it's something we're working as fast as we can on it.
perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Hawthorne. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
presentation.
Fill out the survey. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everyone.
And I
Thank
do
you.
encourage everyone here to fill out that survey. At this time, we have a final presentation by the Economic Development Division. Antoinette Forbes, I believe, is coming to do that. We'll introduce anyone else.
Good evening, Antoinette Forbes, Economic Development Manager. I know you've had quite a bit of presentations, so I'm going to fly through this in not only the interest of time, but because we also have guests from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando. So I included, for everyone here, we give a quarterly report of the activity, economic activity that happens within the city of St. Cloud, both technical and financial assistance that we provide. I also try to provide data to the council so that they are aware just of the various activity and the economic growth in the area. So this reflects the last quarter of last fiscal year, July through September. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it on sooner to you guys because we had collapsed schedules and holidays and such, so this is why it's being reported this evening. We had 133 new business registrations. I broke out the types of businesses of how they are itemized based on our current BTR registrations, and we also have 59 cases of business assistance. I also break out this presentation, business retention versus business attraction, as they are equally important to our economic growth. And so under the business retention side, our monthly market is continuing to grow. So anyone who's been out there knows that it has grown astronomically, and we continue under the CRA to provide supportive services to it. Our newsletter, which is our primary method of communicating with our business community, has continues to grow. We have an average open rate of about 33%, if I'm not mistaken, and we have grown in email addresses from, I think it was about 1,300 when we first started, to almost 3,000. Our Cyclovia event was postponed to January the 9th, which is a Sunday. We have a very small amount of openings that are available for anyone who would like to participate. Extremely small. We're up to 73 registrants so far. So we're only taking to get us at 100, and then that's it. Sorry, anyone who's interested can email cra@stcloud.org. We also started to provide webinars to our businesses at no cost to help them with the technical assistance aspects. So we did a webinar on how to do business with the federal government. That had 69 registrants, and then also through our constant communication with the City of Kissimmee, of which the ED Director for City of Kissimmee is also here this evening in support of the Hispanic Chamber, provide us information about the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority was hosting a matchmaker event for the airport rental car supplier. So that's another opportunity for our local businesses to hopefully get contracts. We also provide one-on-one business assistance where we partner with our local resource providers, including the Chamber, Career Source, SBDC, and there's about 8 or so others. Whoever can participate, we do it quarterly, where we talk to businesses and find out exactly what do you need assistance with, and then we try to offer them help. This time we virtually visited Yomo's Baked Potatoes, Granny Southern Smokehouse, Garage Bar. I'm going to slow this down so I can say it properly. Taqueria Tepeyac. There we go. You know what I mean? What that person back there said. Sunbeak Medical Care and Expanding Horizons. We also are still doing our grant program, so I won't go into detail about that, but I will say we have given $488,707 worth of small business grants to date to St. Cloud businesses. There has been over $42 million in business assistance that's been provided from federal, state, and local agencies combined to date. On the business attraction side, this is just one example of how we're starting to create some buzz as far as commercial development, which is on Narcousie and 192, which is the initial plan calls for a $10,000 square foot learning experience daycare center, sit-down restaurant, and quick service restaurant, and 2 multi-tenant retail buildings. We also, in the effort of business attraction, want to make sure that we attract all size businesses, and therefore our business navigator, or excuse me, previous business navigator, Abismail Brew, authored the Business Startup Guide, which we now feature on the city's webpage. And I also wanted to make sure that we mention we have a new business navigator, David Brittle, who comes out of City of St. Cloud with plenty of planning experience. Excuse me, City of Kissimmee with plenty of planning experience. It's a lot of Ps. Under business attraction, we have, we're now starting to market our economic summit, which is scheduled for February the 17th. It is a full day, including a site familiarization tour. I have included a video. Let's see if it plays.
St. Cloud, Florida is the new destination location for business. The perfect mix of old Florida and new commerce makes St. Cloud a great place for both families and businesses. Join us this February to hear about the exciting development opportunities right here in our own backyard.
Thank you. So that video has now started going out to market to site selectors, real estate professionals, investors, and such. And so we've now started getting people who are reserving their seat to come to the summit. I think we're on slide 10. Thank you. So this is a good segue into another element of business attraction. So I'm sure everyone now realizes how not only the city has grown in population, but it's also started to evolve in terms of our demographics. The recent census information has now come out, and it shows that we have grown over 67% in an increase in overall population growth, and the largest increase has been the Hispanic/Latino demographic. In fact, it says that Hispanic/Latinos of any race make up almost 42% of the population, which is a 71% increase from the 2010 data. 32% of households report speaking Spanish at home. So we thought it was important that, we make sure as staff, we make sure as a city that we evolve the same way our population, our community is evolving. And that includes our partnership with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which I think they are going to start coming up here now. Hint, hint. And so through that partnership, which they're going to go into more detail, we found that they were actually searching us out the same way we started searching for them. And through that partnership, we've been able to have entryways into points that I don't think we've had before. One example, and I'm going to look at my notes to make sure I pronounce these names correctly, Carlos Manuel Joaquin Gonzalez, who is the governor of Quintana Roo, Mexico, and Luis Izarri Pabon. There we go. I'm learning. Who is the mayor of Ponce, Puerto Rico. We were introduced and had the opportunity to have an intimate conversation with them, and we couldn't have had those type of conversations about business development opportunities without our partnership with the Hispanic Chamber. Also, through that partnership, they were able to feature some of our Hispanic businesses through Telemundo, who did a story on St. Cloud and the increase of Hispanic businesses. We also did the Ole at the Park, and that's where I'm going to segue in, where we had a what's the word I'm looking for? A business expo where we featured not just St. Cloud businesses, but also businesses outside of St. Cloud as a great way to show that St. Cloud is the next destination for their expansion or relocation. So with all that fast talk, I am going to introduce Gabby. She is the president of the Hispanic Chamber, and she's just going to give you a little bit more data and insight about this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette, and good evening. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We're very excited about this event, and number one, we're very grateful for the investment that you have given our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Just a brief information about our chamber in case you don't know too much about our organization. We are one of the largest chambers in general in Central Florida, and we are one of the largest Hispanic chambers in the nation. We have been in business for over 28 years, very well established. We have thousands of volunteers who have been part of the formation of our chamber. We also have a strong staff right now of 6 full-time employees, so that allows us to be completely committed to the service and the work that we do in our entire Central Florida community. We served a 7-county area, but primarily we focus on Osceola, Orange, and Seminole County. And, well, we have a lot of members in Puerto Rico and other countries as well, but primarily most of our services happen in those areas. And of course, the expansion here to Osceola County has always been a key priority for us. And for that reason, I want to start this brief presentation recognizing our immediate past chair, Belinda Kirkar, who's here with us today. Thank you, Belinda. As Antoinette mentioned, she's the Director of Economic Development for the City of Kissimmee, and she has been on our board, and she has challenged not only me and my staff and the staff, but also the entire board to be more proactive here in Osceola County. And of course, we found an incredible partner with Antoinette. It has been such a delight to work with her and the entire team here in the City of St. Cloud, and we were able to put together this event. So Hola at the Park, we wanted to put together an event that will bring more diversity, will bring more, a lot of energy with the Latin flavor to St. Cloud. We think it's probably one of the first large Hispanic events that had happened in the city. I had the opportunity to work for OUC for many years, so I was very, very connected with the city of St. Cloud. I was actually a board member when I was at OUC for the St. Cloud Chamber of Commerce. So I really felt genuinely in love with the city, and I always wanted to do something here because I knew it was kind of like a hidden gem that a lot of people didn't know about. So when we were able to present this event of Hola at the Park, the idea once again was to bring not only businesses but also the Hispanic community to really be able to discover the incredible things that you have to offer here in St. Cloud. A lot of people, when we started promoting the event, they said, "Where is that? We never heard of that place." But we knew that there was such a huge opportunity for many of members of our community to consider St. Cloud not only as an incredible destination to come and visit the businesses, but also consider this incredible place to raise their families and, of course, to establish their business. So in terms of helping with that business retention and attraction, the purpose of this event, again, was to bring more people from not only from the St. Cloud area, but primarily to bring members and to bring different community members from many different parts of Central Florida to this incredible area. And we were able to put this event together in record time because, as we know, this year has been challenging for reasons that we already know. But we were able to do this event, first-time event here in the city, and we had over 80 booths. We had a kids area. Of course, we had a lot of Latin food. We had 9 sponsors, and including the sponsors, we had OUC, the reliable one, that was the title sponsor for the event. We also had Advent Health, iHeartMedia. Of course, the City of St. Cloud was one of our main sponsors, Dairy Farmers, Icon Park, Universal Orlando, Westgate Resorts, and Discover Ability. And I want to mention one of our key media sponsors, that was iHeartMedia, that we have here, one of the representatives, actually the key representative that help us, the key executive who help us connect with many audiences, who is Lisette Saint-Hilaire, who's also here in the back with us. She actually put together a really good presentation. I'm not going to do justice to it because she will do an incredible presentation in terms of the facts. But we have copies for all of you. Pedro, if you don't mind, if we can pass the copies when we're done. But just to give you an idea, the impact that this relationship had for the City of St. Cloud, over 10 stations from iHeartMedia promoted this event. And this wasn't just in Spanish, it was for the general market as well. When we started the conversation with Lisette, she offered us, and she said, well, through this partnership, we might be able to do over 100,000 impressions. We ended up having over 2 million impressions. If you want to have more of the technical of what that means and how that impacts, Lisette is the expert, and she will be able to give you a full overview, but we have the report here, and I'm sure that she will be more than happy to provide more information in detail if any of you would like to have that information as well. And the other thing that I want to mention, again, we had great participation from members of the community, not only from St. Cloud, but for other areas. But another part that we have seen the incredible results and immediate ROI that our partnership with the City of St. Cloud has had is that one of our board members is the owner of a very successful Hispanic-owned construction company. This particular company, just to give you an idea of how incredible they are and the type of clients that they have already done, and this is just one project that they manage, they have already done remodeling for they have done over 100,000 remodeling for hotels, rooms at Disney. And this is just one project that they manage among many others that they do. The name of the company is JCQ Services. We're very fortunate to have them as part of our board. And when I started presenting to our board about the relationship that we were developing through the trusteeship, the investment that the City of St. Cloud has done on our chamber, but also because of this event, he started becoming very interested about St. Cloud, what can I do? Can I invest? Can I buy some property? And he did. He actually acquired over 1,200 acres of land here in St. Cloud, and I know he's already in conversations with Antoinette to also explore what type of commercial use they're going to have for that particular facility. And I know we have one of the executives, I know he wanted to join us today, but he sent one of his key people, the project manager, Javier Adames, who's with us here in the back as well, also representing, because again, we're very interested not only in working hand in hand with every one of you, but also bringing more people so they can also invest and make this community very prosperous and very, very diverse, and for us to be able to bring everybody together. And the last thing I want to mention, a lot of times people think that we know how important and how powerful the St. Cloud Chamber is here in this area, and especially as a former board member, I want you to know that as a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we never act as a competition of any of our chambers, because we actually act as a support system for them. What we promote is that we want our members of the Hispanic community, not only to maximize their participation and resources that we offer as a chamber, but as I mentioned, we cover a very large area. We always encourage our members to connect to the local chambers, because they're the ones who specialize in the particular area, and specifically when it comes to economic growth and economic development. So we always promote not only for them to join our chamber, but also for them to be members of the local chamber. So hopefully that will bring more members to our local chamber as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Gabby.
So I think we've talked enough, but we are available for any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions? Well, the Ola St. Cloud event was certainly a huge event, and the Hispanic community is growing tremendously, and we certainly welcome them to the area and the impact that they're making in businesses.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And thank all of you from the chamber that are here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to our citizens forum. Any person who desires to comment on any item not on this agenda is provided this opportunity to address the city council. Each person is requested to complete a signing form to be provided to the presiding officer prior to or as soon as is practical thereafter the person addresses the council. When you come forward, please state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Jacqueline Odom, are you here?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager. Thank you for hearing me once again. My name is Jacqueline Odom. I reside at 617 Bivens Street in St. Cloud, Florida.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh. I don't need to start over, right?
No, you keep going.
Okay. The reason I'm here, it's a drainage. This is my second time here. The last time my property was flooded by improvement by the city was from behind my property. My property sits in front of Hopkins Park. This time, my property has been flooded. My home, where I reside, has been flooded by the house that was bought across the street from me. We have no culvert, no drainage. A new home was built under the new guidelines that sits as high as it's allowed to go. No culvert was placed when they built the home. They paved the driveway right onto the street without culvert, so when it rains, the water comes directly across the street onto my property. The last time I got flooded out, it cost me $64,000 of my money just to get it done, because I did not have flood insurance. This time, this improvement I have no idea. My property is just becoming useless and is damaging my home. My request is that if you all could help me with the drainage, with some protection for my property. I mean, I work from my home, I bought it, it's where I live, I didn't get it through any help, I worked for it, I was born and raised in St. Cloud. I am so very disappointed in this condition. That's why I'm here.
Well, Ms. Odom, we're certainly sorry that you're having to deal with this, Mr. Sturgeon.
Yes, sir. I'll have Public Works work with Ms. Odom and look at that issue along with the building official. Go ahead and review the plans and the site.
I would totally appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
And you
wouldn't
have my
be-
phone number,
I wouldn't be here
Jackie.
if I didn't need help.
Thank you.
And thank you for your number.
Councilwoman Matheny.
Thank you. Do we require site grading plans when you have a new, like an infill lot, like what's happened across from her? Does the city require lot grading plans?
Yes, yes. My planners are going yes.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
David Woods.
Hello, my name is David Woods. I live at 3113 4th Street, St. Cloud, Florida. Resident in Osceola for 41 years and a resident here in St. Cloud for 31 years. Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you for your time. Can I have some pictures that I might want to reference as I
Hand it to
put
the,
this up? My reason for being here today is to bring to light the proposed development of 25 acres on the west side of Lakeview Elementary School. Parcel number 03263072500010840. Currently, you may not be aware of this yet because I understand the developer is in the due diligence process. And I think currently the property is owned by the Osceola County School District. I don't know if it's been annexed yet. I'm assured that I'm not assured, but I'm assume the city or somebody will apply for annexation to get it into the property. Currently, Starlight Homes has proposed to the city, and I believe they had a meeting yesterday with the planners. I don't know which one. I talked to Tina Lee, who is a lead with Starlight Homes. And they're proposing to the city and the planning department to rezone it to an R4 to build 222 townhomes, 2 stories high, with 2 points of access. 1, through the north end of the school property, and 2, either extend Robinson or utilize 4th Street, which is a dead end currently. And you can put the picture up that shows the property. Yeah, it just shows where it is, so you get an idea. Lakeview Elementary School is down there where the white roofs are. So currently, the school
Give me
traffic.
just a second, please, Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, and I, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wood, but I'm not aware of what's going on with this project, but I'm a little concerned about having a discussion regarding a matter that might come back before the city council in a legislative, in a quasi-judicial proceeding so you're essentially getting information regarding a project that's not currently before you, but could be before you. And that could have an impact on any decision you might make in the future if the matter is before you. I'm not aware of what's going on with this project, but it sounds like it's in the process where it might ultimately come back before you for a zoning determination. So I would suggest that you have to be careful about this, and I would, if you want, Mr. Wood, my suggestion is that you can make some general comments about this, but to the extent you provide facts that might support or oppose any application that this city council might hear at a later date, it could negatively impact the ability to support that decision, whatever the council might make at that time. So if you want to talk generally about it, I think we're okay with that, but to start getting into specifics, I'm concerned about it.
You have a minute left to talk generally.
Well, that's quick. Well, basically, it's the overdevelopment. It's, if they get the proposed amount of townhomes they want to put in there, 2 stories high, it's the potential to have about 400 more cars in the neighborhood, 2 per family average, create more traffic for the conditions of school, bikes, and kids.
Mayor, this is the kind of
Those
stuff that
are the kind of issues that would come up
be
during your hearing,
problematic.
sir.
He'd have
All
an
right.
if it comes back in front of you, he'd have an opportunity to present all the information to you.
Okay.
at
I'm so
that
sorry,
time.
sir. Thank you for,
Okay, basically, we'd just like to see it as a green space or a park or something else.
thank you, sir.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Betty Damke.
Good evening.
Good
And I
evening.
finally get to come before you without complaints. First of all, before you start that timer, where are your light necklaces you had on the other night? It's still the Christmas season.
Well, you're wasting time, honey. Go ahead.
On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank you, thank this city for all your help in helping us to have a phenomenal Christmas parade last Saturday. The comments that have come back from the community has been, it was the best ever. We had 107 entries and over 2,000 people participating in the parade. You were in the parade, you saw the streets. They were packed. What a welcome sight back from last year. And congratulations on the City Council for winning third place in the judges. We have first, second, and third place. You were outstanding. You still threw candy, which was not allowed, but we'll let you get by. The awards will be given out next week at the Chamber's Merry Mingle. It's at the 15th at 6 p.m. at Krabby Bill's, and I hope all of you will attend. It's a great evening. Bill, thank you and your wife for sponsoring our judges table. It was an honor to have your name up there and to promote the city in another aspect. Now I want to give just a very, very special thank you. Chief Pete's gone, but to him, to Sergeant Sousa, Officer Badman Payton, and all the deputies who worked with us, not only when we were planning the parade since last August, but their support this past week. We were all very apprehensive from things that have happened in other parts of the country. We spent a lot of time discussing, and I just can't say enough about them. They were outstanding, not only for those of you who were in the parade, but for the spectators. You don't really see what they're doing behind the scenes, and I cannot give enough shout-outs to them. And also over to Richard Tonks at the fire department. He works with us every year, gives us any assistance we need. I'm just saying thank you for a change rather than being up here complaining, okay? But all of your staff, the city, the police, the fire department, all of you, thank you again. Let's go another bigger, better next year. And I hope to see you Wednesday night at the Merry Mingle.
Thank you, and it was certainly a lot of work that you helped do in the chamber. Thank you so much.
Thank
for all your
you.
work. Councilmember Trace.
Thank you. And I was going to bring this up at the end, but I'd like to thank Ms. Demke, Mr. Bass, and the chamber staff for putting on a great event again. And then, I mean, I guess the city won third place in that, but it's really the park staff that put all that together. We just show up and, you know, Dave throws out the candy. We didn't throw out candy.
I'm going to give you one statement of grace, okay?
Sort of directing to Jay in the back, when will it be on the website? I have a lot of people asking that we're in the parade because that's the way they only way they get to see the entirety.
We'll be working on that, I promise you.
I don't read silent.
Okay, they heard you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to the council during the citizens forum? If not, we'll move on to the next item, our consent agenda. We'll move on to our next item, the consent agenda. The next portion of tonight's meeting is the consent agenda, which contains items that have been determined to be routine and non-controversial. If anyone in the audience wishes to address a particular item on the consent agenda, now is the opportunity for you to do so. Additionally, if staff or members of the City Council wish to speak on a consent item, they have the same opportunity. First of all, are there any items on the consent agenda other than item L, which has been removed by our city manager? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Trace.
I have a question on item K.
Councilmember Matheny.
Thank you. I just wanted to give kudos to the St. Cloud Fire Rescue Department for the grant application in item number M. I know it's a double-edged sword with the grant dollars, but, you know, congrats on going after them.
I agree. Hey, Councilmember Trace, you said you had a question about item number K.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to have a briefing this week, so this might have been covered there, but this is just for the allowance of us getting FirstNet devices. I'm in total agreement with that. I just didn't see like a budget request for changing devices over or service over or anything like that.
Mayor, may I call the procurement director
Yes,
up
you
for
may.
that? Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Leslie Flores, the Procurement Services Director. This is actually, the Police Department requested this, and IT is supporting this for public safety use. I don't know if Chief Miller can add some. I know Chief Gauntlet has gone, but that's what they requested it for public safety use.
Okay, I think it's great because they get priority, FirstNet
Correct.
gets priority
Correct.
service when everything's
Absolutely.
out. So I think it's great. I just didn't know if we were switching the entire city over, if we were just doing police and
Not
fire.
right now, only public safety.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I see no requests. Is there no one wishing to speak to the consent agenda from the audience? If not, we will have consideration of a motion by council.
Motion to approve less item L.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Trace, a second from Councilmember Matheny for the approval of the consent agenda minus item L. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Trace.
Aye.
Councilmember Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
The next item on our agenda is an executive session. At this time, the city council, a special city council meeting will be in recess for the council to conduct a private pending litigation session as requested by the city attorney and is authorized by section 286.011 of Florida statutes. The session is for the purpose of discussing settlement and litigation expense strategy for pending litigation involving the city and Waste Connections of Osceola LLC. The city council, city manager, and William Sturgeon, or city manager William Sturgeon, and city attorney Man Mazares, attorney Thomas Cloud, and attorney Dale Scott will attend the session. A court reporter will be present at the session, and a transcript will be available after the conclusion of the litigation. The meeting will last approximately 30 minutes, and the special council meeting will resume thereafter at 25 after 8 o'clock. Is that correct? Followed by the regular council meeting. We're sorry for any imposition this makes on you that are here for different hearings, but this is an item that we do have to address. Thank you.
We're going to go meet in the conference room right over there.
Yes. We apologize for the inconvenience. Who are we waiting on? This brings us to public hearings. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1?
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2021-55, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending the Land Development Code of the City of St. Cloud, Florida to include Article 3, zoning regulations, Division 27, Entertainment District in its entirety, providing for suburbility, conflicts, codification, and effective date.
Good evening, City Council. Abismael Abreu, City Manager's Office. So, like the clerk indicated, this is the final public hearing for ordinance 2021-55. This ordinance is a land development code amendment to the entertainment district. The purpose of this ordinance is, first and foremost, a collaboration with the businesses located in the downtown. The city is proposing the use of outside alcohol consumption and the creation of an entertainment district event permit to create opportunities for a concentration of amenities and entertainment venues within a pedestrian-friendly segment of the city's downtown. We found this to be beneficial. It encourages events, artistic performances, and other such form of organized entertainment within the district. It also builds a reputation for the city as a livable, walkable, and entertaining city that cares about the quality of its residents and also about the success of its businesses. This is a collaboration between the business community, nonprofit organizations, city residents, and local government, serving as a perfect example of community cooperation. And it goes hand in hand with our economic development strategic goals and objectives of creating a destination location here in the city. So currently we have an entertainment district. We're bounded to 9th Street to the north, Pennsylvania Avenue to the east, 13th Street to the south, and Massachusetts Avenue to the west. There is outside alcohol consumption in the current entertainment district. However, it's only permitted through a special event or cafe permit. What's permitted in the special events or cafe permit? I'm going to go through some specific as it is right now. We have alcoholic beverages to only be beer and wine. Time for outdoor consumption has to be specified in the permit. A drink limit is for 2 drinks per person for removal from premises on a 20-ounce container. And like I mentioned, it's only through a citywide special event process. That's mostly designed for large events, such as the Rockin' the Cloud that's coming up soon. So let's talk a little bit about what we're proposing here tonight. The only change with the boundaries is instead of ending on the eastern boundary on Pennsylvania Avenue, extending it to Florida Avenue. Let's look at the specifics. We are defining alcoholic beverages as beer, wine, and liquor. We are proposing a time for outdoor consumption from Wednesday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. A drink limit is 1 drink per valid ID for removal from registered establishment. What this means is you can only get 1 drink out at a time, so no partying, no double fisting, how it's commonly known on the streets.
On the streets. Sorry.
We're putting this on a container that's specified for the city. I apologize for that. In an up to 16-ounce clear plastic cup with a registered logo. We put this restriction in place just to help the PD regulate having the registered logo there, and also not limiting the size to a specific 16-ounce due to the constraint in the logistics for getting supplies right now. It's kind of hard to just get it one size for everybody. So what we're doing is just allowing up to 16 ounce. So there's some drinks that are able to be dispensed on a smaller container, and that can help out just getting materials as well, and it enhances the product as well. And also creating the entertainment district event permit, which is designed for reoccurring events that are designed, those events that are outside of the day-to-day business in the district. This is just a little table comparison of what we currently have and what we're proposing. The big change being the open container will be permitted through certain restrictions time of consumption from Wednesday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. We also did some comparison with sister cities that we have in the Central Florida region. These cities were selected. One, they have a successful program in the downtown with this outdoor open container, how it's commonly known in the other cities. And they also compare to St. Cloud by being unique small cities with a unique character and a unique downtown. There's some differences as far as hours of operation. The city of St. Cloud, right now we're proposing a more restringent, more conservative hours of operation, as well as just allowing or requiring that businesses register with the city if they would like to participate in this program. One of the community's concern that it was also heard in the Planning Commission is that we needed to provide a safety plan. we started this process, I want to say, two years ago now, since I moved up to the city manager's office. And we work with the police department, with the community, just to come up with how we're going to keep our citizens safe. So some of the provisions that were provided to the city from the police department is we need increased patrolling, better surveillance, and better lighting in some of the areas. They have identified those areas for us. So we're increasing police presence in the district. We purchased and currently installing new surveillance in those strategic places throughout the district. We are adding signage so that the community is aware of the boundaries. And like I said, it's community collaboration. So Main Street's here, and they're gratefully paying for signage for the businesses to post, for those that do not want alcohol inside of the establishment, and for those that do, kind of telling just the rules and regulations of the ordinance so that everyone is aware of the ordinance and their provisions. So education is going to be a big thing here, and the city is going to make a big push to make sure, using our different media outlets, to make sure that everybody knows these are the boundaries. This is what you can and can't do in the district. So it starts with education first as in the top priority to make sure that this is a successful program. This ordinance also instituting an entertainment district event permit. This, like I mentioned before, this is for one-time or reoccurring events that are outside of the day-to-day business in the district, and the purpose is to attract an influx of people. Ms. Matheny, last time you asked if we can add a provision for when it's too much for them to come back for reapproval. So I recommended here to have 12 reoccurrences or 12 calendar months since approval, whichever comes first for event organizers to come and have to register again and go through the whole approval process. We have a formal application process in place. And going forward with the strategic goals, this proposed amendment goes in hand with our economic development and our growth management strategic goal plan. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2021-55. This was also routed to the Chamber of Commerce. They provided no negative comments. The Planning Commission also recommended approval of ordinance 2021-55. And I'm here tonight requesting approval of this ordinance, and also to add this provision that the city management is making a commitment that this will be a 6-month trial period. After 6 months of adoption, starting tonight, we'll review the effectiveness and consider if there needs to be done any changes, we'll review at that time. So I'm here if you have any questions, as well as Main Street.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to offer public comment? Please state your name and address. for the
Paula
record.
Stark, St. Cloud Main Street Executive Director. As we've presented before, we support this ordinance, and as Abby has mentioned, we are paying for the signage and helping the businesses to be able to monitor how to put everything in process. But we're here if you have any questions.
Would anyone else in the audience like to speak to this item? If not, we'll take discussion under motion by council. I think Councilmember Matheny.
Thank you. Abismail, the last reading, we talked about garbage cans, additional garbage cans, and like signage. I know Ms. Stark was just mentioning signage, but is the signage kind of indicating where the district ends? And we also talked about when the businesses register, if they become a problem actor, there is a way to revoke their privilege.
Yes.
So did all that make it in there?
Yes, so we actually have, for the privilege removal, we have an affidavit that they have to follow with some of the specifications that I mentioned in the ordinance. So there's ramifications for violation, as well as we're working with sanitation to make sure that we have complete coverage make sure that there's no littering on it. Like, everybody wants this to be successful, so
Yeah.
we're all working on this. Yes.
Yeah, I'm all for it, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion for approval from Councilmember Matheny. We have a second from Councilmember Askew. Madam Clerk?
Deputy Mayor Trace.
Aye.
Councilmember Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item number 2, Madam Clerk.
Final public hearing for ordinance number 2021-65, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, closing, vacating, and abandoning the easement located at 1750 and 1770 Drew Liner Road, specifically described in the body of this ordinance, providing for suburbility, conflict, and effective date.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Stephen White, Community Development Planner. The case before you is the Drew Liner abandonment and easement. Subject sites are located at 1750 and 1770 Drew Liner Road. The applicant is requesting abandonment of unimproved utility easement. They would like the easement to be vacated prior to the property being platted. This slide depicts the easement to be abandoned. The abandonment is in accordance with section 5.5.4.c of the Land Development Code. Provides for reviews of proposals to abandon easements and right-of-ways. No objections were received from other governmental agencies or utility companies. This aligns with the strategic plans and goals of the City of St. Cloud and growth management. DRC recommended approval of ordinance 2021-65, and we are requesting approval from the City Council for ordinance number 2021-65. I'm here to answer any questions as well as the applicant.
Would the applicant like to speak to this item?
Craig Zetwell, Hanson Walter. I'm representing the applicant tonight. 8 Broadway, Kissimmee, 34741.
All right, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this item? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Lisa Klepper. I'm 1752 up the road. I want to start off by thanking you guys for getting the developer, if you remember, from on the other side of my property with the flooding. I really want to thank Don Edwards a lot because he really stayed on top of them. And so we just got this week a plan in place. So hopefully that's going to be resolved by the end of January. So I just really wanted to thank you guys for that. And with that in mind, as we start going through, this is fine with this, but as we start going through it with this developer on this side, just to make sure that we do make sure that the drainage is done correctly so we don't have the same problem on my other side of my property. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this item? If not, we'll have discussion or motion by council.
Motion to approve.
I'll make a second. I have a motion from Councilmember Askew, a second from the mayor. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Matheny?
No.
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Askew?
Aye.
Councilmember Trace?
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you. Brings us to item number 3.
Resolution number 2021-1316R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, amending resolution number 2021-223R, which adopted the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget for the City of the St. Cloud, finding the city manager has certified there are prior year funds balances and/or current revenues available in the budget for additional projects and programs and various funds not included in the original 2021-2022 budget, requiring the budget to be increased to include said additional fundings in the various funds, making supplemental appropriations within the fund.
Good evening, Wendy Colazzo, Finance Director. As noted, this is budget amendment number 1 for fiscal year 2021-2022. And according to the background, we are certifying that funds are available to appropriate as we increase the budget for this year. First slide is showing you the general fund. We are increasing with a totality of $800,000. This is an increase to revenues for $800,000 from prior year fund balances and increasing expenditures to pay for the special pay COVID to pay city staff for working during the pandemic. This is excluding public safety, who had previously been paid by the state. Also included in that increase is a decrease to city council contingency expenditures and an increase in expenditures to the city clerk special election. by $75,000. This is to account for the increase to cost of the special election for the vacant city council seat. Moving on, also in the general fund for this increase is an interfund transfer revenue increase and decrease of prior year fund balance in the amount of $2,444,424. This is the first tranche, as you know, of the American Rescue Plan Act, and this funding was split between the general fund, the water fund, and the 1% fund or the 120 fund. This action will return the water fund portion back to the general fund for centralized monitoring. In your next fund, the 1% fund, we have $1,611,427 in increase. This is an increase to revenues from using prior year fund balance, increasing the expenditures for the fire department in the category of machinery and equipment by $1,561,567. This is for the tower truck, building maintenance and machinery and equipment, $49,000 as well to purchase the vehicle for a senior trades worker. Continuing on in the 1% fund, a decrease of expenditures in IT or information technology repair and maintenance. This is to increase expenditures for interfund transfers into the capital project to fund project number IT 2200. This is your network security software for a totality of $775,865. In the debt service fund, we're increasing by $30,000. This is a transfer to revenues to increase expenditures for the debt cost for $30,000 for bond ratings that we'll need in order for the cost for the Fire Station 32 and Fire Station 35. Capital Projects Fund, $2,549,764 an increase. This is an increase in revenue in the interfund transfer and an increase to expenditures for maintenance contracts, professional services, and contractual services are the categories within these projects. I will go down for you. It is IT 2200, PS 2105, and fire training and facility at $1,003,000. ST 2104, Canoe Creek Road, $58,683. ST 2202, Sergeant Graham and Neptune Signal for $205,216. And finally, ST 2203, Nolte Road Crosswalks, $210,000. The simple thing to this is we're just funding the capital projects and funding the capital fund in order to have these projects fully loaded. In the fire impact fee fund, on the inverse, $543,800 to increase in interfund transfers and expenditures by $1,300,000. We're decreasing contingency expenditures by $756,200. This is an increase to revenue from prior year fund balance for $543,800. The increase to this funding is for the project number PS 2105, fire training facility, to account for the increased construction cost. In the mobility fee, impact fee fund, there is a zero net increase to it, but we are increasing transfer expenditures and decreasing contingency expenditures for $473,899 for the projects of ST 2104, Canoe Creek, PD&E, ST 2202, Sergeant Graham and Neptune Road, ST 2203, Nolte Road and crosswalks. Moving on to the water fund, this is your $2,475,524 increase in from prior year fund balances, where we're pulling this to increase the transfer for expenditures of $2,444,424 to transfer that ARPA funding, or the American Rescue Plan Act funding, back into the general fund, and then increasing also expenditures by $85,420 for machinery and equipment for a spare water pump for Water Plant 1 and a new treatment vehicle. So this is just the inverse of what you saw in the general fund. In the sanitation impact fee fund for this amendment, zero net increase. We have a decrease in contingency of expenditures in the categories for machinery and equipment by $3,201. This is for the additional funding that was needed to purchase that side loading truck, which was budgeted originally at $330,000 for this fiscal year. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2021-316R and requests the approval of City Council. This is Budget Amendment Number 1 for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Any questions?
Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item? If not, we'll have discussion on the motion by council. Councilmember Trace?
Thank you. The ARPA money, the 2.4 million, what was that for? That's replacing funds that came out of the general fund, but what was it specifically used for?
It was not used for anything. It's the money from revenue replacement that was allocated because of what was lost in the water impact fund. After talking to auditors, this is really a deferred revenue that we need to put together to be able to monitor. So this is an administrative collection of the dollars. That we're not spending it, we're putting and grouping it all together versus having it in the individual funds.
But it's all going into the water fund?
No, it's going out of the water fund and into the general fund.
And it's ARPA money that went into the water fund that's now going into the general fund?
Yes, what happened was when we asked for revenue replacement, it was based on what we lost in the general fund, the water fund, and the 120 fund. We're now booking it all together into the we're housing it in the general fund because of auditor recommendations to have the money together so we can better track it.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I think it's great we are investing in capital of tower truck, the fire training facility, Canoe Creek Road PD&E, and then also a signal at Sergeant Graham, so kudos.
Do we have any other discussion by council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Councilmember Matheny, a second from whom? Councilmember Trace. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Askew?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Trace?
Aye.
Councilmember Matheny?
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Brings us to council action, item number 1.
Resolution number 2021-318R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, approving a mobility fee credit agreement between Center Lake Properties LLLP and the City of St. Cloud for the construction of certain roadways generally located east of Narcousie Road, west of Nova Road, south of Jones Road, and north of East Earlo Bronson Memorial Highway, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
Hello, Council. Erin Stirk, Transportation Manager with Community Development. I'm bringing forward the Center Lake Ranch Mobility Fee Credit Agreement. This is Resolution 2021-318R. The project Center Lake Ranch in total is 2,020 acres. Of course, you know where it's located, east of Narcousie and north of 192. The request is for the resolution to execute the Mobility Fee Credit Agreement. A little bit of background, not going back too far, but just to some recent approvals, is in May 9th, 2019, the city entered into an annexation and development agreement. It delineated cross-sections for certain roadways, which were planned at that time to city standards. Then in August 12, 2021, they amended the conceptual master plan, concept plan, to reflect the county framework street standards, and that is known as the amended master plan, and it's an exhibit to the agreement. The background continued is Center Lake Ranch will design, permit, and construct the following arterial and collector roadways in connection with their development. There's 3 roadways total. They've had a variety of names over the iterations of the plans, but I think the final names to be confirmed at plat, of course, is Center Lake Ranch Boulevard, 12 Oaks Road, and Bluebird Groves Parkway. There are 2 roadways of those 3, 2 portions of roadways that are included in the agreement before you today. The Teal Road is kind of a continuation of Zuni Road to the north. It's 12 Oaks Road. The segment that is in your agreement is from Center Lake Ranch Boulevard to the northern project boundary. And of course, the main entry road is Center Lake Ranch Boulevard. It's segment 1. It doesn't carry any additional capacity, but it is from Narcousie to 12 Oaks Road. The costs that are in the agreement today are for the actual costs for upgrades from city local road to county framework street standards. They are requesting mobility fee credits or cash at the city's option to be issued for 100% of the framework street upgrades. And that's estimated at $1.2 million. Actual costs for improvements are determined, of course, when they construct them, and they have evidence of that, and that'll be reviewed by Public Works at that time. The cost share for the other roadway segments, which contain additional capacity for regional trips, are not included in this agreement, and they will come forward when they want to build those pieces of the roadway. This meets the strategic plan goals for growth management and for infrastructure. And staff recommends approval of the requested Resolution 2021-318R and the associated mobility fee credit agreement between the City of St. Cloud and Center Lake Properties for the purpose of facilitating the construction of certain roadways. And we request the City Council to approve Resolution 2021-318R. And I'm here if you have any questions.
Is the applicant here?
Good evening, Joe Thacker, 17 South Orlando Avenue, Kissimmee. We're here to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thacker. Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this item? If not, we'll have discussion and a motion by Councilmember Matheny.
Thank you. Okay. So I think this project got off on the wrong foot in my mind when the annexation agreement came through the city, which contemplated road sections and mobility fee credit agreements and maintenance. But it wasn't a tri-party agreement. It was just between the city and the developer. So then the reason we're having these issues now is because then the city went to talk to the county about maintaining the road, and the county is like, well, wait a minute. If you want us to maintain the road, you need to build it to the county standard. So that's where all the changes are coming from, is to like convert the sections to the county standard. So to continue the being on the wrong foot, in my mind, what's before us is an agreement for mobility fees between the city and the developer. So the county isn't a party to this agreement, but in the agreement, it has language in here about the county is going to do things. And, you know, I just feel like this should be a tri-party agreement, because it's like we already got kind of off on the wrong foot by doing the annexation and the sections and not coordinating with the county. And then now we're doing a partial mobility fee agreement for not all the roads, but it contains all the roads and puts a price to all the roads. I just would feel better if this was like a full and complete agreement in my mind. There's some language in here. Let's see, I circled it. It says there'll be a subsequent agreement between the city, the owner, and/or Osceola County to provide mobility fee credits and/or a cash reimbursement for the actual cost of the design and construction of the remaining segments of Center Lake Ranch Boulevard, Bluebird Groves Parkway, and additional transportation, which additional transportation capacity is over that required to serve. Well, the county isn't signing this agreement. Are they agreeing to that, to provide the mobility fees? And another issue I have is it says that the estimated mobility fees are 1.2 million, but it'll be based on the actual costs. So what if the costs are 6 million? So we're on the hook for 6 million? There's not a cap to, to me, I just feel like I would rather have a full and complete agreement, because I feel like once we approve this, we're pregnant. And how do you kind of negotiate beyond that point? Another just minor thing is it mentions that the cost estimates are attached as Exhibit H, but it's actually K in our packet. So for me, I guess I would feel more comfortable to understand the full scope of the agreement, how the county feels with said agreement, have them sign it too. So what if we do this and then the county doesn't agree to take the maintenance of the future segments? I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of questions for me that I don't feel comfortable moving this forward at this time.
Councilmember Trace.
I believe Dan was going to answer.
Well, I was just going to point out, first of all, the city or the developer aren't asking the county to obligate themselves to anything tonight. So any reference in the agreement to the county obviously can't obligate the county unless the county signs off on it. So there's no obligation being placed on the county in the agreement that's before you tonight. And the initial premise was because there have been ongoing discussions and this has been going on for a while, was to essentially try to work on that which we knew we had potentially already had, not potentially, had already been resolved between the developer and the city, and get that documented so that they can move forward with that piece of it. And that's these first two segments of Center Lake Boulevard and 12 Oaks Road, which is which is before you. I know that, understand that the project in these 4 road segments, 3 different roads, 4 segments, that they've all been looked at together. So some of these documents do reference and include the subsequent segments, but the agreement doesn't commit anybody to do anything on the subsequent segments. This agreement before you tonight, and that doesn't commit the county, and doesn't commit it. It does the language that was read, and Mrs. Thacker can point out the language that was read, that you read into, that's on paragraph 3, that talks about that was essentially put in there, as I recall, to allow for the developer to have some understanding that if they're going to have to do these additional segments, that there's going to be some compensation that's going to come back to them for the additional capacity that's generated on those segments, which is what we've always done when it comes to a developer that builds wider roads than they need to serve their project. It doesn't have to be in this agreement unless Ms. Thacker thinks it does. It's an agreement to agree in the future, so it doesn't really matter for this agreement, I don't think. But that's her call and her client's call.
Ms. Thacker, would you like to speak to that?
On the future segments, it's okay if we don't deal with it tonight. We are here to deal with the first 2 segments. We have been working closely with the county, closely with the city, and feel like the developer is ready to go and needs to be able to go forward and really needs this agreement in place. Remember, the city's already approved the annexation agreement that deals with most of this, as well as adopted the amended master plan. And in the amended master plan, the city said, okay, we'll adopt the county standards. And with that put the burden then on the developer to design and construct to county standards the first 2 segments, the first segment of Center Lake Ranch Boulevard and 12 Oaks. So those are being built to county standards. They will be inspected by the county, and the SDP actually is already approved by the county for Center Lake Ranch. The SDP for 12 Oaks is pending approval in the county right now. So we are coordinating very closely with the county. I talk to them regularly about this, and I have assurances this afternoon, as late as right before the meeting, that the county is ready to move forward with an interlocal agreement. I was on the phone with the county attorney, and they had a meeting this afternoon and said, yes, we want to cooperate with the city and the developer, and we will sit down and get the interlocal agreement. And that's why it's referenced that it will come back to you in the very near future.
Councilmember Trace.
Thank you. So this is in the city. Impact fees are coming to the city.
They are.
And then the interlocal agreement will be for the county to maintain these roadway sections, or?
That is the plan. Yes.
Okay. And then is there, well, I guess the, Ms. Matheny's question about capping the construction cost, is that
They're already,
something?
well, it's an estimate, and you can only wiggle. It is actual cost, and what we put in there is that, these are estimates, and so we'd like the ability to, well, that's in the line extension agreement, but the engineer has gone through, we've updated them recently, so we have a pretty good idea of what those costs are going to be. I don't think, and those will be reviewed, by a lot of eyes. So they are what they are, but the estimates have been clearly defined in the exhibits.
Okay.
I mean, and it's
Usually-
line itemed.
Usually your engineer isn't your lowest bidder, but with how commodity pricing is now and everything,
And they were just recently updated.
I agree with Ms. Matheny of some wiggle room, but not, it could get crazy as well.
Right.
And then there was the discussion of Center Lake Ranch Boulevard, which seemed like it was a smaller change, or at least dollar amount wise. And then for some reason, 12 Oaks Boulevard, this just became a much bigger section and
It did.
bike lanes and everything.
Exactly.
Do we know what the impact will be on, was that Bluebird, the other road? Will it be a big impact like 12 Oaks, or will it be a smaller impact like Center Lake Ranch Boulevard?
I don't think we know yet, because it's not designed, and we haven't really talked about it with the county, because it's going to be several years out.
Okay. I think that's all my questions.
Do we have any more questions? Do I entertain a motion?
All right, so a motion to approve Resolution 2021-318R with a maximum increase of 15% over the stated costs in the engineer's cost estimate.
With the ability to come and present to you why they may have gone up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's an agreement, yeah. You can always petition to revise the agreement.
Okay, because sometimes street lights and other stuff just, it gets crazy. So with the 15% cap without having to come back to us.
Second. Okay, we have a motion for Councilmember Trace and a second from Councilmember Askew with a 15% cap. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Askew?
Aye.
Councilmember Trace?
Aye.
Councilmember Matheny?
No.
Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1.
Brings us to item number 2.
Resolution number 2021-320R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, approving a water and wastewater service agreement from Tommy and LJ Holdings LLC for Hickory Tree Reserve, a residential development located in the unincorporated area of Osceola County on the west side of Hickory Tree Road, east of Old Hickory Tree Road, and south of Nolte Road, and north of Alligator Lake Road, authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement and providing an effective date.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Cameron Crandall, Deputy Director of Environmental Utilities. This is the Hickory Tree Reserve Water and Wastewater Agreement. As you can see, the highlighted area parcels, it is outside the city limits. It's in the unincorporated county and would require a water and wastewater agreement to serve. It's a standard agreement. It contains all the standard requirements we typically put in these. It includes capping the reuse water used for irrigation at the wastewater generated. And we are recommending approval of it. It is 114 residential units, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Is the applicant here? My, we're busy tonight.
Joe Thacker, 17 South Orlando Avenue, Kissimmee. I am representing the applicant on this matter, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Would
Thank you.
anyone from the audience like to speak to this item? Not, we'll have discussion or motion by council. Councilmember Matheny.
Mr. Crandall, you might have said this, but let me just ask it. Does this have the limitation on it about the reuse water?
Yes, ma'am.
That they can't have more than they generate?
Yes, it's section 1.3 talks about provide only the quantity of reuse water as wastewater is generated.
Okay. And then I just have a question that's really not related to this application, but I do know that there is a veterinary clinic that's on the road behind to the west of, when you pull the map up, that's been trying to get sewer services. It's off of Old Hickory Tree, kind of, I don't know, one parcel down south of Nolte. When they do their utility layout, does it get the sewer closer to that veterinary clinic? No.
The lift station that they're putting in is on the east side of the property.
Oh.
It might be a little closer, a couple 100 feet closer to that veterinary.
Mr. Sturgeon.
Yes. Councilmember Matheny, I have a meeting next week with the county manager. We're going to work on a plan to see how we can get water and sewer there.
Awesome. And then, or get the county to accept the Miss Craig's fancy lift station.
Distributed wastewater system.
Okay, that was it. It's
Thank you.
just a question. I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion for approval from Councilmember Matheny. I'll make a second. Madam Clerk?
Deputy Mayor Trace. Councilmember Matheny.
I'm sorry. Was that me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Brings us to item number 3.
Resolution number 2021-331R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of St. Cloud, Florida, authorizing the mayor to enter into a line extension agreement with Center Lake Properties LLLP for Center Lake Ranch, a residential development, and providing for an effective date.
Good evening, Cameron Crandall, City of St. Cloud, Deputy Director of Environmental Utilities. This is the Center Lake Ranch Line Extension Agreement. A little background, in 2019, we approved the annexation and development agreement with Center Lake. And inside, it established water and wastewater service for the 3,940 residential units. It determined certain responsibility for off-site and on-site utility mains, whether it be the city or the developer. And then it also talked about certain oversight improvements be the subject of a subsequent line extension agreement. And that's what we're bringing here today. There's really two portions of the line extension agreement. There's the portion that the city is required to install. That's the off-site utility mains identified in the previous annexation and development agreement. That's the reuse water main on South Narcousie Road and the potable water main on Rummel Road. And the second part is the city wants to upsize the utilities on Center Lake Ranch Road, Ranch Boulevard, 12 Oaks Road, and Starline Drive. And we looked at our utility hydraulic master plan and worked with our consultant and the developer's engineers. And these upsizing utility mains will improve the water capacity and pressures of the surrounding area up Narcousie. This map shows the two lines that were required to put in. That's the reuse on South Narcousie Road and the Rummel Road potable water, and then the 3 upsizings, that's the Center Lake Ranch reuse water, the 12 Oaks Road reuse water main, and then the potable water on Starline Drive. Here's the cost. It's about $1.3 million. Broken up, we're looking at what the city's required to install is $1,001,974. And then what we are asking to upsize is the $302,627. And this is going to be paid in either cash reimbursement or water wastewater impact-free credits at the city's discretion. And we were recommending approval of the line extension agreement under Resolution 2021-331R. We're asking for approval or denial of the resolution.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak to this?
Joe Thacker, 17 South Orlando Avenue, Kissimmee. I do have one word request to change in the central, to have go through the central facility from a shall to a may. And that's what we talked about last week, and I didn't get it in there.
Mr. Manzares?
As I recall, that was actually something that staff brought up, saying, does the developer really want it to say shall?
And we don't. We want to say may.
That was a question we had asked about whether they wanted it to say it, so we're okay with that.
Okay. Any questions? Councilmember Matheny?
I just have one question. On a couple of these agreements, it's saying that we're reimbursing with mobility fee credits or cash. Like, I haven't seen that or cash on any of our other agreements before.
It's something that we've added recently to these agreements, these mobility fee credits. There was some recent updates in the legislature with regard to impact and mobility fees that essentially locks in the value of a credit agreement at the time that you enter into the agreement and does not take into account what the future value of those impact fee credit eligible improvements would be. In other words, you're locked in 2021, although the impact fees may not be used until 2031, you still have to calculate them at the 2021 value for the development. So we added the or cash language so that the city can make a decision at its discretion as to whether it was better to provide cash for the reimbursements or to provide the impact fee or the mobility fee credit at a later date. Gives the city the option. The applicant doesn't have that option.
Okay.
Councilmember Trace?
I always thought they got credit in an account of that dollar amount that they put in or eligible for, not like a number of units.
Number of ERUs or number of units.
Okay.
That's right, but the language in the statute is not necessarily so clear on it, so we thought having that option in there gave, in the event that we don't anticipate it being an issue, but we wanted to make sure that there was that option there that the city would have if it had to deal with that.
Okay, and you guys provided a map that wasn't in here. Can you go back to that? The one that showed the squiggly line of where the mains were. I thought we were also putting in a reclaimed main down Starline for that tank.
So the reuse, we're putting in a reuse booster pump station. That's, it got moved to 12 Oaks Road, and that's why we're upsizing Center Lake Ranch Boulevard and 12 Oaks Road, so we can make use of the extra capacity provided by that reuse booster station.
Okay, perfect. I was worried that these improvements wouldn't fix the reclaimed issue, the pressure issues we have down the road, but this, you guys are certain that this will fix those issues down in Turtle Creek and some of those other areas?
Yes, the reuse booster pump station will provide for increased reuse pressures and capacity in the northeast area.
And then, does this agreement and the timing of everything match up with you guys putting in the, or the utility department putting in the reclaim booster station?
I believe we're trying to move forward with the procurement process, or the design procurement process for the reuse booster pump station right now. So it's something on the horizon that we're trying to get moving.
Okay, so it's likely, though, that the mains will be in before you guys need them, not the other way around?
Most likely.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Matheny?
Thank you. It seems like when the Center Lake came through, however long ago that was, wasn't the reuse booster pump station house supposed to be aesthetically pleasing? Is that still on the? I remember that being with the neighbors coming in, and they didn't want the pump to look unsightly, and so then there was some commitment to put it in some kind of aesthetically pleasing building that blended with the environment.
I know that was brought up when we were putting the reuse booster pump station on Starline Drive, but since we've moved it to 12 Oaks, but we haven't done the design for the reuse booster pump station.
Okay, just revisit that, because I remember that was a big topic with the community around Center Lake, so.
Okay.
Would anyone in the audience like to comment on this item? Do we have any further discussion or motion by council?
Motion to approve Resolution 2021-331R.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Trace and a second from Councilmember Askew for the approval of resolution number 2021-331R.
With the language that was requested?
With the
language-
may shall, yeah. That's
With the
Shall
language that
now be
Ms.
may.
Sacker requested.
shall may.
And they do have the language about only as much reuse as they provide to the, just in case you were wondering.
Good, thank you.
Are we as clear as mud here?
We're very clear, sir.
Good, thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Matheny? Aye. Councilmember Urban?
Aye.
Councilmember Askew?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Trace?
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Under item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding the selection of a deputy mayor. Do we have discussion or motion by council?
All right, who wants it? I make a motion that Councilwoman Matheny.
I'll second that.
All right. Do we have any other motions? Any other nominations? Can we just have an acclamation on that? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace. Councilmember Matheny.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Congratulations. Mayor Blackwell says aye.
5-0.
Yay, thank you. It's easier to say.
Item number 5, Madam Clerk, you read that also?
Discussion and possible action regarding council serving on committee boards of other entities.
Madam Clerk?
Good evening. This is a board that council member usually, we revisit it every single year, and you can decide to stay on your board or make any changes at this time. The one board that does need to be filled as soon as possible is the Osceola Council on Aging, which was previously filled by Councilmember Cooper.
Mr. Urban, would you be willing to serve on
That
the
would be
board?
fine
That's a
with me.
very important board, by the way.
Absolutely, I'd be honored.
I would like to have a quick discussion with Mr. Urban. We both kind of sit on the Main Street Board. I'd be willing to step down and let you jump onto the Main Street Board, because I know you're very active with that board, so leaving it up to you.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. If you would be willing to do that, I had to step down when I became a council member here from my previous position, so that would be great to stay involved with Main Street there.
Awesome.
Very good. Councilmember Matheny.
Thank you. I am the council member that kills boards because all my boards like close up shop. But I see that the mayor has 5 boards. And would you be interested in giving me the TDC board?
I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
It'd be close to your work, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Any other discussion?
Can we make a motion? Can we make a motion as a slate with those 2 changes?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion for the adoption of this board as just reviewed by Councilmember Trace, a second by Councilmember Askew. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Next item.
Discussion and possible action regarding appointments to the vacancy on the OUC St. Cloud Joint Contract Administration Committee.
Mr. Dwayne Norman has indicated an interest in serving on that board, has he not? And I'd like to make a nomination that we appoint Dwayne Norman to the OUC St. Cloud Joint Contract Administration Committee.
Second.
We have a second, a louder one from Councilmember Matheny. A motion from the mayor, second from Councilmember Matheny. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Discussion.
Item number 7.
Sorry. Discussion and possible action regarding appointment to the vacancy on the Economic Development Advisory Committee.
I believe that's an appointment by Mr. Trace.
And I would like to make a recommendation of Mr. Daniel Michler.
I'll second that.
Do we have any other nominations? I don't get, we need, it's your appointment. Isn't it? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Deputy Mayor Matheny.
Aye.
Councilmember Urban.
Aye.
Councilmember Askew.
Aye.
Councilmember Trace.
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations to Mr. Minkler. Mr. Manzares, what do you have for us?
I do not have anything, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Sturgeon.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. 2 items. First off, I wanted to let the council know that the county has disbanded the Executive Policy Group for Emergency Management. It's a technical review group now. It's the same membership, but any decisions such as curfews and all that will go through the legislative process of the Board of County Commissioners. So I thought that was a good move. You know, we had our challenges during COVID, so that's been disbanded. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you at Rockin' the Cloud.
Councilmember Trace.
Thank you, and I hope everyone has a good, good and safe Christmas and New Year's.
Councilmember Matheny.
First, thank you all for the support for Deputy Mayor. I wanted to say, I know it's kind of been brought up a few times today, but I had it on my list that the Christmas tree lighting was a raging success again, as well as the parade. It was really, really, really well attended. Mr. Urban and I should not be placed next to each other because we throw too much candy. Well, we place too much candy on the street around the children because we run out like way too early. Then we had to borrow from everybody.
Stealing mine.
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna report you guys to the chamber because they were complaining about
Well,
that.
yeah, we didn't throw candy. It fell off of the float at our feet. So the other question I had was, do you think we should do some kind of way to show our appreciation to, Robert Bass and his crew? I mean, because I think we have the #1 parade in Central Florida, hands down. And I just can't imagine the amount of work, scheduling, just dealing with all that. Do we still give keys to the city? I remember that when I was in high school, somebody got a key to the city. I thought it was kind of cool. But, or make it Robert Bass Day or something. Is there some way that we could show our appreciation to them for putting that together year after year?
We do give away a key because I'm fixing to do one here real soon, so.
Oh, really? So anyways, just a thought, maybe direct Mr. Sturgeon to come up with some appropriate way to show our appreciation to them for their years. I mean, I think Mr. Bass has been doing it 18 years or something. I don't know how he continues to do that. I'm sure it has to be a struggle, but that would be great. And just wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Councilmember Askew.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thanks for sticking around.
Councilmember Urban.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo everyone else, and it was great to see everybody out in the community for the Christmas tree lighting and the Christmas parade, and I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thanks.
I, too, would like to thank all of the staff that just went the extra mile, as they always do. All of our staff and support staff and putting together the tree lighting event and the parade. They're just excellent. Would not happen were it not for the incredible staff that we have just going the extra mile. Great job. Kudos. I, too, wish all of you a blessed Merry Christmas and hope all of you have a wonderful celebration and stay healthy. This brings us to our information section, report section, Friday, December 10th. There will be an employee holiday luncheon. City offices, and this is a change, city offices will close at noon. Thursday and Friday, December the 23rd and 24th, city offices will be closed for Christmas holiday. Friday, December 31st, city offices will be closed in observance of the New Year's holiday. Thursday, January the 13th, there will be a city council meeting at 6:30 p.m. here in City Hall chambers. Hope to also just make everyone aware of the New Year's Eve celebration and dropping the clouds coming down, be a part of that. I'd like to make you aware that there is a report list #2 available for your review. With that, there's nothing else on the agenda. We will be adjourned.